10 minutes ago, there was a different Nevadan senator sitting at the presiding officer's chair. Welcome. Madam President, I was on a roundtable this morning with a group of Ohio County commissioners from conservative counties like Warren and Medina and more progressive counties like Lucas and Hamilton, and Republicans and Democrats alike, of male, female, good cross-section of Ohio leaders, talking about the projects we're going to build and the good-paying jobs we're going to create, jobs that will not be offshored this time because we came together to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Yesterday, I was on a media call with the Republican mayor of Findlay, Ohio, about the I-75 bridge project that they need in Hancock County. The day before, I was on another roundtable with Western Ohio leaders, talking with them about how we can leverage these investments. It's some of the most important work I'm going to be doing over the coming months, working with local and federal officials to make sure investment translates into Ohio jobs. The presiding officer understands this, that we pass legislation here. With it sometimes comes a good bit of money, like with infrastructure, but it's also up to us as representing our states to make sure those dollars are spent efficiently and effectively and quickly, frankly. The infrastructure bill is some of the most important work we've done in the Senate in a long time. We're investing in our country. For years, mayors and businesses and workers have been telling us, as their representatives, as their senators, about the need to upgrade infrastructure. But we've noticed, Madam President, over the years that candidates of both parties have promised infrastructure. We're going to pass an infrastructure bill when I'm elected, they say. Plenty talk about it, but now with a new president and a new majority in the Senate and the House, we're finally getting it done with this bipartisan infrastructure bill. Over the past few months, I've heard from communities about the projects that this is going to allow them to accomplish. In Toledo, with the mayor talking about the city's plans to replace lead pipes. My state has the dubious distinction of being the second leading state, if you will. Our state has the second most lead-contaminated pipes. From main water lines and the pipes going into people's homes, we have 600,000 pipes like that going into people's homes that have high levels of lead. And science has known, paint companies have known, lead manufacturers have known that infants, babies ingest lead, it affects their brain development for the rest of their lives. So one of our goals, working with the mayor of Toledo, is over the next several years to replace those pipes. Ohio will get some $1 billion in new funding to improve water infrastructure. The Western Hills Viaduct in Cincinnati, the Patterson Avenue Bridge in Dayton. Ohio has some 3,200 bridges eligible for upgrades. Some of them, like the Brent Spence, unbelievably across the Ohio River, carries 3% of GDP every day across that river. Some of those bridges are, when I grew up working the family farm, driving a tractor with a hay wagon, crossing little culvert bridges that dot our countryside and all over my state. Many of those are in states of disrepair. We've seen the new pollution-free buses at communities like Akron and Canton and Columbus, Lake County rolling out through Lake Tran, their transit system. Heard about how they're going to expand service so people can get to work and school. We have some 60,000 buses, big city buses, and another 50 or 60,000 small transit, more rural buses that need to be replaced with their fossil fuel, mostly diesel engines, and we're going to replace those over the next several years with low emission or zero emission buses. The Port of Ashtabula, the community my wife grew up in, hearing about how upgrades to our ports will increase investment and help speed up and grow Ohio's supply chains. As the presiding officer knows, this Congress, this Senate, the House, frankly, over the years, at the behest of corporate lobbyists, sold us out on trade agreements, sold us out on tax policy. So many jobs left our country. The industrial Midwest was hit the hardest, but every state was hit by that job loss because of bad government policy, again, lobbied by some of the largest corporations in the world, the tech companies, the drug companies, the oil industry. We now have a president that wants to get it right and bring those supply chains closer to home. Now, this We also seen how Ohio needs better rail infrastructure, new rail cars for Cleveland RTA, better Amtrak service, safer rail crossings. But fundamentally, this bill, the infrastructure bill's a jobs bill. It'll create construction jobs, to be sure. It will create jobs, union jobs, carpenters, millwrights, electricians, plumbers and pipe fitters, sheet metal workers, laborers. It will create those kinds of jobs, but also create manufacturing jobs through the supply chain. Senator Portman and I work to make sure this bill has the strongest Buy America requirements ever in an infrastructure bill with our Build America, Buy American Act. Every one of these projects will come with the strongest ever Buy America rules. No more Bay Bridges in Northern California made entirely with Chinese steel. We introduced the Build America, Buy America bill on President Trump's inauguration day. Unfortunately, nothing moved because everything got crowded out of President Trump's agenda so they could give a huge tax cut to the richest people in the country. We've worked with other leaders now, 4 years later, with a new president to get it right with Buy America. Particularly, I'd call out Senator Baldwin from Wisconsin, Senator Peters from Michigan, and their work. We're putting in place a clear, permanent standard. If American tax dollars are involved, American workers should be getting the jobs. It's going to mean more contracts for Ohio businesses. Cleveland Cliffs, new plant in Toledo. Talking about what we're doing there, the cleanest steel making, I believe, in the entire world at that new plant. Owens Corning in Toledo, Great All Industries in New Philadelphia, Ohio, and the edge of Appalachia. We have the potential for hundreds more bridge projects around the state using American rebar, American steel, American iron. It's an investment in Ohio that will pay off, creating jobs now, both during construction and up and down the supply chain. It'll help attract new businesses. It'll help keep the existing one. It'll connect people with their jobs and businesses. I will spend pretty much every day, and my staff will too, making sure that our state gets its fair share of this investment, these jobs. If you believe in dignity of work, you fight for the people who make this country work. We're seeing results. On Wednesday, the mayor of Findlay and I were talking about the Biden administration's announcement of $100 million in initial bridge funding already on the way to Ohio. That focus will continue. We're doing roundtables. We're doing briefings with federal officials, with local township trustees and county officials and mayors and city officials and state officials, talking how they can apply for federal funding, make sure communities are best positioned to make the most of this infrastructure. Our goal is to leverage this investment to create jobs in every city, in every county, and every township across my great state. Madam President, I yield.